Hello, good evening. How are you today? Thank you so much for being part of this program today. My name is Tunde Disu, and you are here with me on this platform, Become a Better Man. Become a Better Man. It has been a journey, it has been a trip. We have covered a lot of ground since we started this program, and today is another day when we'll be looking at another very important topic as far as becoming a better person is concerned. Whether you're a man or a woman, we all want to be better. We all need to be better. We all can be better at who we are, at what we do, and at how we do them. So the purpose of this platform is to, on a weekly basis, equip us with necessary tools, necessary nuggets, necessary wisdom, things that we can add to ourselves, to our lives, and to the journey, so that we can all arrive at the destination where we can be described as better men and better women. So for those who are joining us for the first time, you are very welcome. For all those regular members, thank you so much, Mr. Oshika, for being on this platform. It's an honor to have you. Last week, we looked at the power of decision and how this making a quality decision will help you, will propel you, will lead you to the point where you live your dream life. Well, today is a new topic. We are looking at a topic today that I believe we all can relate to, because it affects every one of us, every human being. And what is that topic? Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at become a better man. Pay attention. Become a better man. Pay attention. When people hear about attention, it connotes different things to different people. If you say to a military personnel, attention, they will immediately stand upright, chest out, and all of that. But when an announcer, for instance, get hold of a microphone, the first thing they will say is, attention please. Can I have your attention please? Now, all they are trying to say is, I know you are all involved in different things and occupied with different things, but at this point in time, I need you to focus on me. I need you to give me your attention. I need you to give me your undivided attention. So when we talk about attention, what exactly are we talking about? But before we go into the meaning and all of that, I said that we all can do, we all relate to, we all can even tell a story about paying attention or not paying attention in our individual lives. I know somewhere along the line, you will have heard phrases like, whatever you focus on will develop. You will have heard maybe your parent or your teacher, they will say to you, if you focus more, you'll be more successful. If you just pay attention to the things around you, if you just be more careful about how you do things, and on and on and on it goes. What they are trying to say to you and I is, they are trying to engrave in our hearts, in our psyche, the importance of paying attention. So when it comes to the issue of paying attention, we've all been there, we've all done it. Some of us has got t-shirt and a scarf to show for it. But most of us, especially adults, we look back at our lives, we examine our lives, we examine where we are and our journey so far. And every now and again, we come to a point where we start to castigate ourselves, where we start to almost beat ourselves up for not paying enough attention to a lot of things. The truth is, most of the issues we have in life are avoidable. Most of them are avoidable if only we could have just paid a little bit more attention at different times in our lives. But added to that is the fact that many of us desire, our hunger, are hungry rather for our lives to be better. We want to improve on our attention focus. We want to be able to pay more attention. We want to be in a position where we can say, that's not going to happen again because I've taken care of it. But what tends to happen is, even with our good intentions, even with our effort, we tend to fall short. And every time we fall short of that attention parameter or gauge that we've set, it makes us feel even worse than we were at the beginning. And naturally, what we tend to do as human beings is to try and double our effort in an attempt to make up the lost ground and avoid the same mistake in future. Now, this is good. There's nothing wrong with that, except that we may have been doing it the wrong way. The essence of tonight's program is to help us is to bring some light and shine some light into this area of our lives, which is attention, paying attention. The world we live in now, the world of today, is a wonderful world. It's a great world. We are all glad to be part of it. But we live in a very distracted world. A very distracted world where everything more than before are just jostling and fighting and contending for our attention. The Twitter is tweeting, the email is dropping, the Facebook is doing its own thing, the phone is ringing. Some people have 2-3 phones on them, all of it. And so much is going on in our lives that you start to wonder, how can we pay attention when we have so much going on at the same time? Now, while all these seemingly distracting factors are all around us, we tend to look at them as the main issue why we're distracted, why we're not paying attention. Now, don't get me wrong, they are valuable, in fact, they play a major role in our attention lapses. But the truth is this: they are not everything that causes our loss of attention. And there are fundamental underlying issues that we are not paying attention, that we are not taking into cognizance, that we're not even considering in all our attempts to pay attention, to be more attentive, to be more careful, to be more in control of our life, of our time, and everything. So the question is, why is it so hard for you and I to bridle our attention, to lay hold of it, to have it under control? Why is it so difficult? Why is it so why are we failing over and over and over on this thing that we're trying to achieve, and yet it's almost like it's elusive, that we can't lay hold of it? It's like a mirage. The more you see, by the time you get there, it's not there, and then you start pursuing it again. Why is paying attention, why has it become so big an issue? And that is one of the things we'll be looking at on tonight's program. Malone Edwards and Odio Rachel, thank you so much for joining us. Sister Bisi Salako, thank you for being on this program tonight. People want to master their attention. They want to be in control of it, but they don't know what attention actually is. Until you know what it is, until you establish the definition, the meaning, the core of what attention is, trying to control it is going to be an uphill task, almost an impossible journey that you're embarking upon. When people, generally, when we think of the word attention, when we think of the concept of paying attention, the first thing that comes up in our mind is being focused on a particular task, being completely devoted and being completely centered and committed and unwaveringly just be there for that one task alone. Now, that's a good attribute to have, but the truth is there is more to attention than just being focused on one item. There is more to it than being focused on one item. Being single-minded focus is, in fact, one aspect. It's just an aspect of paying attention. And I'm glad you're here tonight, because we're going to be looking at what at these other aspects of paying attention. So in order for us to look deeper into it, we're going to start by defining what is attention. What is attention? And at this point, let me encourage you, if you have not shared this program, let's quickly go and share it. Just click the share button under the video and it will be on your timeline, and your friends and friends of friends can also see it. So please, if you have not shared the program, let's quickly do that. Thank you. Appreciate you. So what is attention? What is attention? Attention simply means taking clear and vivid possession of our minds. Taking clear and vivid possession of our mind on one out of all the other factors that are jostling and scrambling and fighting and trying to grab our attention. Attention is taking a clear and vivid possession of our mind on one out of all the other simultaneous activities and issues and other things that are jostling for your attention and my attention. Attention, like I said, part of attention is being focused. It's being focused, being able to concentrate. But the concentration on, as far as attention is concerned, it's not concentration of your eyes, of your environment. No, it is the concentration of your mind, of your conscious. You consciously, deliberately put your focus on that one thing. That is part of what attention is. Attention is a withdrawal. It's a complete withdrawal from some things in order to deal effectively with another. Say, for instance, you probably have traveled on the aeroplane, and you will hear, in case there's a drop in oxygen, the mask will fall down. The first thing you do is put your own mask on before you try to help somebody else. It's not because they're saying you should be selfish. It is being able to focus at a time on, number one, making sure you are in a position where you are secured before you try to help somebody. Because statistically, by research, it's been said that when that happens in an aeroplane, you have between 10 to 15, maybe 18 seconds before you start losing consciousness. So it is imperative for you to focus on, put your mask on before you help somebody else. Attention is being like the supreme commander-in-chief of the armies of your mind. There are so many wars going on in our minds, in our head, but being the head of this army, being the commander-in-chief, who would say, okay guys, I need you platoon B to go this way, I need you this one to go that. It is being in a position where you can take hold of all these seemingly rambling and fighting issues and distribute them to where they should be. So in a nutshell, attention is the ability to focus on certain stimuli or thoughts while almost ignoring all others. I'll say that again. Attention is the ability to be able to focus on certain stimuli, because all these things that are jostling for attention, they're just stimuli. They're just stimuli, just beckoning and flashing at us and winking at us and pinching us just to get our attention. But full attention is being able to, in the midst of all of that, be focused on a particular or certain number of these stimuli in your mind, and at the same time ignore it, irrespective of what the others are saying, what they're doing, but ignoring them. The result of that is it will help to shape how you perceive and experience the world around you. Paying attention, being focused on particular stimuli and thoughts and in your mind will help you to appreciate, to understand, and to perceive the environment that is around you. And that is why, for instance, if there is say there's a crime somewhere or an accident somewhere, and then 2-3 eyewitnesses are pulled together to say, did you see what happened? They say, oh yeah, I saw it. What happened? Oh, the guy just brought out a knife. You see, the whole attention is not on anything else but that weapon. He brought out a knife, or he brought out a gun, or he brought out a club, or whatever. All their attention at that instance is focused on what is this person planning or trying to do to the victim in the crime scene. How exactly does attention work? Having established what attention is, how does it work? The truth is, in fact, researchers and doctors and all of them, they still are, there is no clear cut as to the fact of maybe there's a particular part of the brain that is responsible for attention. Whether there's a particular part of the brain where you switch it on or you switch it off to pay attention. The truth is that there is really no part of the brain that functions that way. Rather, attention involves a combination of different cognitive processes that work together as a unit. It pulls from different parts of your brain the different aspect that is needed at that particular time to pay attention. Now, there are 3 types of attention. There are 3 types of attention. The reason I'm emphasizing this is because for us to be in a position where we can, number 1, understand it, number 2, be able to apply it, but number 3, be able to choose which of these aspects of attention to choose and apply, it is important for us to understand what are these 3 aspects or these 3 types of attention. The reality is this: every day, virtually every day, every hour, we all at one point or another operate in one of these 3 types of attention, even though we don't know it. Sometimes we might know it because we do it deliberately, but in most cases we don't even know that we are operating in this aspect of attention. So quickly, what are these 3 types of attention? Number 1 is involuntary attention. Number 2 is voluntary attention. And number 3 is mind-wandering attention. Mind-wandering attention. And in a layman's term, that simply means daydreaming. Daydreaming. That is why in primary school and in secondary school, the teacher will call out someone and say, Jacob, wake up, come back here. Not because Jacob is trying to leave the class, but because Jacob has traveled far and wide in his mind. And the teacher will have to bring his attention back to where we are in the class in order for him not to miss out on the subject being taught. So quickly, let's look at these 3 aspects or these 3 types of attention, because they all have their drawbacks and they have their advantages. And understanding them will help us to know when to apply them, how to apply them, and when to switch them off. So the first one is our involuntary attention. Involuntary attention. What is involuntary attention? Simply put, it's a response to stimuli or our environment. It is how we respond to stimuli or our environment. The main characteristic of involuntary attention is the fact that we don't choose to react. We don't choose to pay involuntary attention. It happens without our conscious effort, without our even trying. I'll give you an example. How can I say this? Right. Let's say you're sitting in the front room of your house. Your children are somewhere else in the house, maybe upstairs in their rooms or in the kitchen, and suddenly there was a loud bang, bam. What do? You jump. That is an involuntary attention. Suddenly, what happened? That sound, that unexpected sound got your attention, made you jump to say, what is that? That is an involuntary attention. You don't have control over it. You didn't say, I'm going to jump now. Or I'm not going to jump, I'll just stay still. No, because you weren't expecting what led to it. So suddenly there's a bang, and then you jump. That's an involuntary attention. Another example. You walk out into your back garden, and suddenly, it's like you saw a movement. A wiggly, slime race, something like a snake. What do? You come to attention immediately and look for a way out. That's an involuntary attention. Or you're standing in the kitchen and there's your husband or your wife just gently tiptoe into the kitchen and then say, "Whoo!" What do? You know, typically you turn around and say, "Stop that. Don't make me jump. I don't like that." Because it's an involuntary attention. It's an involuntary attention. That's on the negative side. On the positive side, an involuntary attention will make you, say you walk into somebody's house and suddenly it's like, my goodness, is this where somebody lives? Because now you are overwhelmed by that environment. Or you walk into a store and this bag that you've been believing God and praying about, and suddenly it's there in front of you at almost 90% reduction. You just want to jump and grab it. That's an involuntary attention. It's an involuntary attention. Now, the issue with involuntary attention is it doesn't, in most cases, lead us to a reward. In most cases, it leads us down the road of danger, the unexpected. It doesn't happen when it is something that is beneficial, in most cases, to us. Sometimes it does, but in most cases, involuntary attention, we spring or we respond to involuntary attention, or we delve into involuntary attention mode when there is a danger, when there is something unexpected. That is when involuntary attention kicks in. Having said that, more and more on a daily basis, our ability to respond involuntarily is getting less and less effective. Our ability to be shocked, to be caught unaware, to be shaken out of our skin is becoming less and less effective. Do you know why? Because the world is getting more busy. There's so many things that are happening. There is so many, almost on the instant, happening right in front of us. Now, if, for instance, there's I remember the last time there was a terrorist act in London, and within a split second, Facebook has carried it. It's on Twitter, it's on TV, radio is talking about it. Before you know it, that element of shock, that element of surprise, that element of the unexpected is taken away. So we're not too shocked about it anymore. And that is part of what the world in which we live these days, that's part of what is done to us. The TV is blaring. Oh, the smartphone is ringing. Oh, there is your next door neighbor knocking the window to put a nail on his wall, and he's coming across to you. And before, suddenly you are living in an environment that is so noisy, nothing shocks you anymore. Almost, we have been immunized from responding involuntarily to our environment. Now, while involuntary attention can be overwhelmingly by an assault or a distraction, the good side of it is that you can actually, even though it's an involuntary, if you really understand it, you can almost simulate your mind to function in an involuntary attention mode. And when you are able to do that, for those who've been able to master that art of mild stimulation of the mind to respond involuntarily, the experience, the report of their experience is amazing. It's wonderful. For instance, one of the things that will help you with this training of mind simulation is to step out of your environment. Go into the woods, go into the forest, take a walk in the evening, get out of your immediate and usual environment that you are used to. You know at 6:05 your next door neighbor's car will pull up in the car park. So when you hear a car outside, you don't even think about it, you just know, oh, it's my neighbor that's just arrived. But if you go out of that environment, you put yourself in a position where you can begin to experience new things. Secondly, when you step out into nature, when you step out into the woods, when you go into a different environment, suddenly, all those things that seemingly are running at 100 miles an hour all around you, they tend to slow down. The rush, the agitation, the anxiety, the busyness, the hurriedness, all of that just seems to kind of step aside. And now you are in a position where you can almost see the color of the leaf, see the beauty of the flower, enjoy the cool, fresh air in the evening. One of my favorite places in this country is the Lake District. Oh, I just like going to the Lake District. It brings you closer to nature, but more than that, there is this sense of peace and serenity where everything seems to almost grind to a halt. You can see as far as your eyes can see of hills and valleys and mountains and plains, and it is one. If you've never been to the Lake District, let me recommend it. It's amazing. And things like that would help you to train your mind to slowly get into that mild simulation zone where you can actually enjoy nature for what it is. Star Cage, thank you for joining us. Denise Bryce, thank you for joining us too. Please, let's go and share this program if you have not. So for this reason, in fact, when people are out of the hospital and they're going through the period of recuperating, some doctors will recommend that they should just go into places like the Lake District, like I said, go to the seafront, go to the beach, somewhere where the noise is less, somewhere you can just really connect again to yourself, by yourself, with yourself. So it is important for us to be able to do that. So that's involuntary attention. Let's quickly look at voluntary attention. Obviously, voluntary attention is the opposite of involuntary attention. The main aspect of involuntary attention is that we have no control over it. It happens and then we respond. It's a response to what is happening around us and in our environment. Voluntary attention, however, is a focused process. It's a process. It's a decision that you make. It's a deliberate attempt. It is something that you have to choose to do. It's a process whereby you have to consciously take control of your mind. Take control of your mind. Let me give you an example. I'll say your spouse, in this case, say your wife, calls you, hey, John, please come. And you get there and you say, what's the matter? And say, there's a spider on the wall. Now, you have to make a decision whether you're going to take care of the spider, or use the opportunity to train your wife to say, hey, lady, let me tell you, this is spider. You are bigger than spider. This phobia, this fear of the spider is in your mind. But you can actually say to yourself, take control of yourself, of your mind, and train your mind to know that this thing is, number one, most of them are harmless. Number two, you are 1,000 and 5,000 times bigger than this. You can take care of it. Number four, all you have to do, you need to remember that God has given you authority over these things. So take authority over. All you're trying to teach your spouse is take control of your mind. Be in control of how your mind relates and responds to the things around you. So instead of our attention being stimulated by environment, we take actual, total, and absolute control of how we relate or how we respond to issues around us as far as voluntary attention is concerned. It requires effort, just like willpower. Say somebody is a smoker and you say you need to stop smoking. Say, okay, I'll try. Okay, I'll try. But it will require some effort, some willpower from your part to intentionally concentrate on doing that you need to do. And that is the power. That is the meaning of voluntary attention. The more stimuli that are competing for our involuntary attention. You remember I was saying earlier on, we have the noise going, this one is happening, that one is, the phone is ringing, the emails are beeping, the texts are coming, your boss is calling, your mechanic is ringing, your spouse is emailing, so many things going on. But when it comes to voluntary attention, because of all these things going on all around us, which our involuntary attention could respond to, but because we want to respond voluntarily, the challenge for us is that our efforts, our ability to respond is being pulled, almost spread too thin, because our involuntary attention is running around in our head, in our minds. You need to do this, you haven't done that, whatever this and this and that. But you then have to say, no, I'm in control here. I will do what I have to do. I will take care of what I need to take care of at the time that I choose to do it. And that is the power of voluntary attention. As involuntary attention helps us to survive those dangers that we suddenly perceive, voluntary attention will help us to actually thrive, to excel, to make exploit, because we are doing it deliberately. We are deliberately choosing what we have to do. You see, through voluntary attention, cars were built. Somebody said, no, there must be a better way to travel. There must be a quicker way to travel. How can we put something together to respond to that need? Car was built. Roads were built. Aircrafts were built. Masterpieces of literature were written. Paintings of great details and all of that were painted. But also in your life and in my life, we wake up one morning, you and I, you woke up one morning, you say, I'm setting this goal for myself. Now, it's one thing to set a goal. It's a different ball game to pursue that goal. It's a completely different story to achieve that goal. But the only key to pursuing and achieving the goal is this power of voluntary attention. Because you deliberately say to yourself, come sun, come rain, whatever happens, I am going to do this. This is what I am going to do because this is what I need to do. That is voluntary attention. For instance, you and I are on this program right now. That is a result of voluntary attention. there are so many things you could be doing. There are so many things I could be doing at this very particular hour. But we said, no, I want to be on this program. I want to be part of this program at this hour. That is voluntary attention. When you plan your week, when you write in your diary, when you do whatever you do, it's things that you do, not things that happens to you. That is the power of voluntary attention. The issue with voluntary attention, just like the issue with willpower, is that it is very small in amount. The volume of it is very small. And that is why you hear people say things like, why do I always get distracted? How come I have a very short attention span? Two things are conspiring against you. Number one, the involuntary attention is getting increased by the hour or by the minute. So you're having to juggle a lot of things to try and relate to them. And because the second thing is, your voluntary attention is very small in quantity, in volume in the first place. And now your involuntary attention has increased. So you have less power to fight this big involuntary attention. So that is why people say, why do you always just get easily distracted? It is not because you want to be distracted. It's because of what you are contending with is bigger than what you have to contend with it. The good thing, however, with voluntary attention, just like willpower is, there are ways by which you can train yourself to increase your attention, to increase your attention muscle, to develop a bigger attention muscle. And we will get to that in the course of this program. If not today, maybe next week. So, voluntary attention is something you do, something you decide, and something you carry out. Involuntary attention is where you just respond to what is happening all around you. The third aspect, or the third type of attention, is what we call mind wandering. Mind wandering. Or, in other words, daydreaming. Now, before you start looking at your spouse and your friend to say, oh, he's talking to you, the reality is this. We all spend a better part of our day in this zone. Researchers have concluded that up to about 50% of every human being's day is spent in this mode of mind wandering or daydreaming. Now, you may not call it daydreaming. You may not even agree that your mind is wandering. But the truth is, based on the research that has been done, based on years of experiment, about 50% of your day, of my day, is spent in this, in fact, it's called the default mode. That is the mode we default to easily. We virtually live in that zone. It takes the environment to jack us out of it, and it takes a conscious decision for us to even step out of it. So most of the time we're living in this zone called mind wandering. Mind wandering. So what is mind wandering? Mind wandering or daydreaming is the zone between voluntary and involuntary attention. It is that zone that resides between involuntary attention and voluntary attention. When the outside stimuli isn't engaging our involuntary attention, and we are not making a conscious decision to engage our voluntary attention on a specific task or thought, our mind just gradually it resolves back to its default mode. And that default mode is the mind wandering mode or the daydreaming mode. Now, I know when you hear daydreaming, the first thing people are thinking, oh, that's bad. I mean, how can... No. don't be too quick to judge. Daydreaming is not just about thinking, just lost in your dream, or lost in yourself, or lost in your thought. That's part of daydreaming. But most of the time, that is the zone where our mind resides. Mind wandering take our voluntary attention away. Listen to this. Mind wandering or daydreaming, it takes our voluntary attention away from whatever task we might be working on at that particular moment. I don't know if this has happened to you before. You sit down, you are writing, or you are reading. You are still writing, you are still reading, but you are not there. Please let me know if you've experienced this before. Because I know I've experienced it again and again. You are writing, or you are reading, or you're doing something. You are still actively doing it, but consciously, you're not there. You are just zoned out. That's mind wandering. That's like what they call autopilot in aircraft, where the pilot is there sitting down, he's not doing anything, he's not sleeping, he's awake, but the aeroplane is still flying. Autopilot. Autopilot. I've heard of people who, even driving, suddenly, like, I can't remember when I went past that corner shop. I can't even remember when I went past the roundabout. But I know I had to go through those two to get to where I am now. They were consciously, or rather they were physically driving, but consciously not there. That is daydreaming. That is mind wandering. That is autopilot. And in most cases, you I know none of you is responding. None of you is saying it's happened to me before, but that's all right. I'll be truthful to myself. I know mind wandering has happened to me, and it happens all the time, where you are there and you're not there. The thing with mind wandering is that in most cases, it will happen when we are engaged in a low cognition activities, things that we can almost do without really doing it. Things that we can do almost blindfolded, as it were. Things like you can do and not even have to think about it. Let me give you an example. You walk into the shower, into the bathroom, you turn the shower on, and you're just there. Yes, you have to wash yourself and do all of that. But you could just come out of the bathroom and wonder, oh, have I finished? Because it was done almost in an autopilot mode. It just happened. Or say you are taking a walk, or you are exercising. You're on the treadmill. And before you know it, it's like you're not there. Or you are reading. Now, this happened to me even this afternoon when I was going through, just revising and reminding myself about this program tonight, just going through the materials. I was reading it. I know I was reading it. And I read 2 pages and I thought, what did I read there? What? Have I read it? Or did I flip the page? And then I had to go back and then consciously read those 2 pages again. Why? Because at that instance, yes, I was physically reading, but my mind has traveled. I know it's happened to me before. Fumi Adeusi say, yes, she's experienced it before. I mean, the two of us, we know we've seen it, we've experienced it. The rest, we pray that their time will come too. Mind wandering, on the other hand, when we engage in mind wandering, this is what happens. This is exactly what happens when we go on this journey of mind wandering. our brain actually uses the same region that are utilized when we are doing voluntary attention. Even though we're not paying attention to the task at hand, we are paying some attention to our distracting thoughts. Something just kind of take your mind away slightly. I'll give you an example. Say you're in the lecture room. The lecturer is teaching. Even as I'm talking now, and you are listening to me, you know you are watching this program and you are listening to me. And suddenly, your mind just traveled to that next meeting you are having tomorrow morning. And you start seeing that meeting. And you start thinking of, okay, if Mr. George, you said this is what I'm going to respond with. Or you are in the classroom, you're at work. And while you're on the phone talking to your colleague, suddenly you remember your wife said, oh, honey, when you come home tonight, we're going to have lasagna. And suddenly, all you can see, all you can taste, all that occupies your mind is lasagna. Not even though you are still on the phone talking and just jabbering away with your friend. But your mind has taken a leap. It has done a travel. It has gone on a journey to the land called lasagna. And in all of you, you are in the land of lasagna. That is mind wandering. Mind wandering is a paradox. To think about it will almost confuse you. Because when your mind wanders, even though you are using the voluntary attention, but you are not necessarily using it to do anything. You are not using it to pay attention on what you are actually doing or you're trying to do. See, this is why I say if you think too deep about it, you'll get confused. We said voluntary attention is where you do it deliberately. Okay? But with mind wandering just kind of put its hand on your voluntary attention and uses the power of your voluntary attention to do what you are not doing. That's mind wandering. And like I said, whether you agree to it or not, whether you accept it or not is irrelevant. The truth is, we all spend about 50% of our day in our minds in this land of mind wandering. Spending time in this state of mind wandering has its benefits and its disadvantages. The reason I'm mentioning this is because it's important for us to understand what are the benefits, what are the disadvantages. Because once you know that, you can really harness the power of mind wandering, and you can shut it down when it's trying to cause you trouble. So quickly, let's look at some of the disadvantages of mind wandering. Number one, it keeps you from being fully present in the here and now. Mind wandering keeps you from being present in the here and now. You're here, but you're not here. You're doing it, but you're actually not doing it. That is one of the disadvantages of mind wandering. It's like people who sleepwalk. They are sleeping, fast asleep, but yet they're walking down the street. And scientifically, you cannot prove that guy was awake, but you cannot confirm that he was asleep either. That's the closest I can think of to explain mind wandering. Another disadvantage of mind wandering is that when your mind wanders away, in most cases, it travels along the negative path of your life. It starts to touch some emotions, some areas of your life that you would rather not visit. It reminds you of things that you would rather not remember. It digs up some dead issues that you would rather be left buried. Mind wandering has a way of focusing your attention on unresolved problems in your life. It will drift your mind towards that your co-worker, that your friend that you had a quarrel with. It will remind you of your unfulfilled goals, bills you haven't paid, promises you haven't kept, challenges that you are avoiding instead of confronting it. Mind wandering will take you into that zone. And in most cases, the experience is not pleasant. The challenge is for some people, once they get into that zone and they start traveling down that route, to come back it's an issue. It leads a lot of people down the path of depression because in their mind, all they can think, all they can see, all they can perceive, all they can connect to are those negative emotions, those shortcomings, those problems, those challenges. Those are the areas that they'll be flowing into. And if it's not arrested, if you don't capture your mind on time, it is easy for you to go down into that dark hole, and only God can help such people. Quickly, let's look at some advantages of mind wandering. I don't know if this is helping anybody out there. Please let me know if this is helping you. If you have not shared this program tonight, I know it sounds a bit like you're in the classroom. It's not meant to be that way, but at the same time, I am being deliberate. Put it that way. I'm being deliberate in the way I am going about it because I understand how much attention affects your life and my life. And if this will add any value, which I believe it could do, but if this will add any value to you, to me, on this our discovery journey to become a better person, I think it's worth the effort. So it might not sound like the jumping up and all of that we're used to, but please just walk with me on this. So if this is helping you, just drop me a line. Let me know how you feel about it. Are you gaining anything out of this? Because the essence of this is not just for me to sit down and talk. It's so that whatever I'm saying, at least somewhere along the line, a value is added to you. Something will drop on your lap that will help you in your journey to become a better person. So please drop me a line. Let me know if this is helping you in any way. Thank you. Advantages of mind wandering. Advantages of mind wandering. The first advantage is that mind wandering is your brain's way of directing you or directing unused processing power that is stored in you towards solving unresolved problems in your life. I'll say that again. One of the advantages of mind wandering is that, you remember we said it will gently put its hand on your voluntary attention. So mind wandering is a way by which your brain will go and knock on the door of your voluntary attention to see if there's any power left unused in that house. If there's some power left unused, mind wandering will take it, that processing power, and it will use it to try and help you to resolve some problems in your life. And that is why sometimes people will say, if you think of something, if there's an issue, for instance, at work, and you think about it deeply before you go to sleep, in most cases, you wake up and the answer is already almost in your hand. Because while you were asleep, your mind has wandered into your voluntary box took some reserve processing power and used it to work on that issue, and then you wake up and boom, the answer is in your hand. That is one of the advantages of mind wandering. Number 2, during mind wandering, our mind flows to those outstanding issues in the hope of resolving them, like I've said. Mind wandering's negativity is just a way of your mind saying, look, for you to become better, you need to resolve this issue. You can't forever leave them unresolved. You can't run away from your shadow. This thing is still in your compound. You need to deal with it. That's part of what mind wandering will do for you. Number 3, during positive, constructive daydreaming, our mind engages in future planning, in looking at what are the positivity in our lives and how can we duplicate and multiply them and reproduce them. It will also engage you in moral reasoning. Why would you want to do that? Why should you not do that? Why have you not called your brother? Your brother has asked you for forgiveness. You need to let go. You call yourself, and all of that will happen to you during your mind wandering journey. Number 3 or number 4 advantage of mind wandering is that it will help you to become creative. During mind wandering, a lot of problems are solved. A lot of issues are dealt with. A lot of answers are attained, because when your mind is not actively, voluntarily engaged in something, the mind has a way of looking at what are the issues in your life and starts to deal with them one at a time. It boosts creativity. Mind wandering or daydreaming gives your voluntary, above all the advantages we've said, mind wandering is when your voluntary and your involuntary attention, when they take a break. Because at that zone, at this mind wandering zone, you are not voluntarily doing anything, and you are not responding involuntarily to your environment. So that is the only time when your voluntary and involuntary attention, when they take a breather, just, let's take a break. That is another advantage of mind wandering. Remember, all this we're talking about is to do with attention. Attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. You see, it is so vital. Anyway, let's continue. You'll see what I'm trying to say. So what are some of the benefits of learning to manage your attention? So now we've talked about the 3 types of attention. We've talked about the voluntary attention, involuntary attention, and the in-between of them, which is the mind-wandering or daydreaming attention. What are the benefits of learning to manage your attention? What are some of the benefits of learning to manage your attention? You remember I said, by going through these 3 aspects or these three types of attention, it will help you to know when to engage it, which one not to engage, how to engage, and all of that. So let's quickly look at the benefits of learning to engage or manage your attention. The benefits, the ability, the one of the greatest advantage of managing your attention is that it is the linchpin, it is the pivot of success in cognitive behaviors. People who are able to manage their attention, who are able to exercise their attention, who are able to direct their attention, who are able to know when to and when not to, which one to apply at what time and for what purpose. People who are able to be in total control of their attention, 8 out of 10 times are more successful than those who just live any casual life. Let me give you an example. When you were in school, in college, in university, or in any form of educational environment, you know some students that are bookworms. They are always reading and researching and reading and researching. Then there are some students, you won't see them sit down to read until the exam is tomorrow. 8 times out of 10, those students that have put in the time and the effort and the hours and the commitment and the attention, they tend to do better in general than those firefighters. Not just in education, but even later in life. Later in life, some of these students that paid attention, that took hold of their attention, that managed their attention, that were in charge of their voluntary and involuntary and mind-wandering attention, they tend to do better both academically and otherwise than others that are not bothered about what's coming or going. So one of the benefits of learning to manage your attention is that it gives you a head start in life. It helps you to excel above your peers if you're able to do it properly. Number 2 advantage of managing your attention is that it boosts resilience. It boosts your resilience because having a good handle on your attention allows you to direct it. It becomes like an arrow in your hand. You know the target. You aim at it, you shoot at it, and you hit it in bullseye. So being able to manage your attention gives you that ability to direct the positive attention that you have towards a particular task, and at the same time to shut out all the negative attentions. Number 3, when you are able to manage your attention, you'll be happier. You will live a directed life rather than a driven life. You will live a life that you created rather than the one that is given to you. You will live a happier, a better life than as it comes. Whatever comes will come. Irrespective of how it comes, then that's the way we're going to live it. When you have control over your attention, even the Bible talks about pondering the path of your life. Be mindful of how you live your life. That is paying attention. And like we've said before, by managing your attention, it increases creativity and productivity because you are using it purposefully for a particular task, and therefore the investment of your attention will always yield a good result because it is focused, it is direct, it is done on purpose. When you are able to manage your attention, it deepens your wisdom level. You see, we live in an unpredictable environment, unpredictable life that is so complicated. It will take the wisdom of God to be able to separate this from that. Part of what being able to control your attention, being able to manage your attention, part of what it will give you is the ability to look deeper than the surface. To look deeper than the surface, to look into the core of any issue or of any matter so that you can deal with it. And then when you come out with results, people are like, wow, that guy is wise. That's wisdom there. No, it's because, part of it is because you are able to manage your attention. Another advantage of being able to manage your attention is that it improves your critical thinking ability. It's one thing to read an article, for instance. It is one thing to read an article. It's another thing for you to be able to understand what the article is saying, follow the thought process of the writer, compare the pros and the cons as it is contained in the article, and then put your own personal judgment, your own personal filter on that article, so that you can come up with an analysis that will give you a better understanding of what the article is talking about. So another advantage of managing your attention is that it improves your critical thinking. Your critical thinking. In conclusion, therefore, having said all of this, the society that we live in today, the world that we're living in, the environment, the world that we have lived in the past 30 years, is at its core, it has a crisis of attention. The centerpiece of the world that we have lived in the past 3 or 4 decades, it has a crisis of attention at its core. And that begs the question, are we paying attention to the wrong problems? Or are we being too distracted by the next controversy that we can't solve even the problem that we have now? As you can see, our attention is divided. It's either we're focusing on the wrong thing, or we are allowing, because the world is so fast-paced, we are allowing the next activity, the next occurrence, the next issue, the next controversy to take our attention away from solving the problem that we currently have. Let me give you an example. With all due respect, recently there was fire in London on that tower block that caught fire, and a lot of lives were lost in it. Most people, if not all of the people that were affected, they're still in the middle of trying to piece their lives together. But while in the midst of that, the government, for instance, started looking at all the other high rises everywhere in the country to find out whether they too are susceptible to such incident, which is great. There is nothing wrong in that. Kudos to them for that. Let's prevent it from happening somewhere else. But in the midst of doing that, those people that were directly affected by that fire were almost pushed to the background, just so that we can prevent the fire happening in another place. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying it is wrong for the government to embark on that. Let's search the whole nation, find out if there are other similar buildings or structures or materials. It's great. But it kind of pushed the people that were directly affected by the fire in London almost to the background, to the point that 2-3 weeks after the incident, some of them were still living in their cars and living in friends' houses. The need to avoid a similar occurrence overshadowed the immediate resettlement of the people that were affected. That's the world we live in. That is the society that we live in today. So if you want to improve yourself, let's go back to where we're out of government issue. So if you want to improve yourself and the world around you, the first step to learn to do is how to manage your attention. Learn how to manage your attention. It is the locomotive of human progress. It is the engine that will drive you, that will take you to that next level. Manage your attention. Manage your attention. The end goal of all that we have said today is that we want you to become a well-rounded and effective human being who has the ability to achieve excellence in all areas of your life because you are able to manage your attention. And remember, on this platform, we say it every week, there is no stopping us until we arrive at that destination where we are described as better men and better women. And I believe that this topic today is one of the vital keys that is needed, that is required, not just where we are, but to take with us on this journey so that we can all arrive safely at our destination. This topic today is the first part of this whole talk on attention, how to pay attention, the benefit of attention. Next week, we'll be looking at how to train ourselves, how to train our minds, how to expand our attention muscles. That's what we'll be looking at next week when we meet. So use this, therefore, as an opportunity to tell somebody. Share this video. If you have not shared it, let's go and share it now. Tell somebody about it, and let us come ready next week to see and learn and find out what are the other ways, what can I do, what can you do, so that you can increase the muscle of your ability to pay attention, to harness your attention power, to be in control and manage your attention, because like we've said, it is a vital key to where we're going. Finally, last week I mentioned about our next event. Well, the next event, like I said, is a golf outing day. We're going to go out to play golf. I don't know if you remember, some months ago we did a program, Become a Better Man, Learn to Play or Rejuvenate or something like that. Well, this is one of the ways to do that. So we're going to go out to play golf. Now, does that mean you have to have played golf before or you have to be a pro golfer? No. You can hold the club, you can hit the ball. That's all that is required. It's for both men and women. The date is Saturday, the 19th of August, 2017. Saturday, the 19th of August, 2017. The venue is Hilding Golf Club, which is in Hildenborough. I will post that address and the details on my Facebook tonight and all my other social media handles. The venue is in Hildenborough near Tonbridge. Yes, for those of you in London, I know you're already thinking, oh, that's way out of London. Yes, it is, but for now, that is where we can find a place that will accommodate us and let us spend time doing what we want to do. So we'll be going out on Saturday the 19th to play golf at Hildenborough Golf Club. I will post the address. The time is 12 noon, and all other information will be posted on all my social media handles. I am looking forward to it. I know some people have been asking, when next are we going to play golf? When next are we going to play golf? Well, now the date has been announced. Get yourself ready, come ready, and let's go and do some walkabout on the golf course. For some of you, I know you've never been to a golf club. You've never even played golf before. Welcome to the club. I was like that too. But the thing is, let's break some barriers. Let's do something we've never done before. There was a time when it was, oh, golf is for wealthy people. So are you, so am I. And this is not going to cost you much, 10, 15 pounds at the most. So please put this date in your diary, Saturday the 19th of August 2017. Let's go and play some golf. Let's have some fun. Let's laugh together. Let's learn a new thing. These are some of the ways by which we grow to become better men and better women. So until next week, when we meet again to look at the part 2 of how to train ourselves to be in control of our attention. This is Tunde Diso, appreciating each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your love, for your support, for everything that you are doing on this platform to keep it going. I appreciate your time. I do not take it for granted. Thank you. God bless you. See you next week. Bye-bye.